Have you ever had the unpleasant experience of someone ignoring you while you tried to understand? If so, you are aware of how much it can impact us. But what if I told you what you did wrong? The best course of action for you is not to pursue them or look for information about them. Instead, the best course of action is to reverse the situation and crush the ego of the person who is ignoring you without using harsh words or violent deeds, but with self-control and discernment. Yes, you possess the power within yourself. Stoicism reminds us that genuine strength originates from you taking charge of the situation and demonstrating that other people's actions don't influence you. If you're interested in learning how to achieve this in a powerful and graceful way, don't worry. I'll guide you through a strategic approach that will help you maintain composure and emerge more confident. When someone disregards you or withdraws from you, it's common to try to figure out why. However, there's a powerful and difficult-to-control secret. You have control over your own actions, not those of others. I understand that acceptance is difficult, but realizing that you actually have control can be liberating. Imagine that rather than seeking reasons, you just decide that your inner tranquility does not rely on outside solutions. You decide to maintain your composure and equilibrium. Have you ever considered how this mindset could alter your life? The key lies in mastering the skill of managing your emotions. When you don't let others' actions affect you, you demonstrate a level of emotional independence that few others achieve, thereby inspiring envy. This emotional independence translates into personal power, which is the ability to control oneself rather than others. Have you ever considered how controlling your reactions could alter how you see yourself and how other people perceive you? You're demonstrating your self-control, which garners respect and adoration. Have you ever found yourself in a circumstance where you chose to keep quiet rather than behave rashly, and maintain your position, which exudes tremendous strength after you have mastered your emotions? The issue returns to your control, even if it appears to be despite appearances. This is what distinguishes individuals who live their own lives from people who are influenced by the actions of others. By learning not to look for validation, you exhibit a sense of self-assurance that is difficult to lose. The well-known scenario of waiting for an unanswered SMS message serves as a real-world illustration of this. Instead of wasting your energy on checking your phone every 5 minutes, why not channel it towards something that motivates you? Encourage yourself to read a book such as Carol's Mindset or Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. DW. This not only diverts your attention, but also gives you the ability to refocus on yourself and what truly matters. And let's face it, having the ability to remain composed and concentrated on few people can learn to solve problems on their own rather than by looking outside themselves. After mastering this, people realize you are not dependent on their actions, which changes the dynamics and makes you more interesting. You become more respected and, most importantly, emotionally resilient. Have you tried putting this into practice? This involves exercising emotional control during challenging situations. Tell me how it went for you. Let me know in the comments whether your experience has strengthened your emotions. Establishing emotional boundaries is one of the most crucial things you can do to safeguard your mental health. We frequently let other people's actions control our self-esteem, abandoning us in the process. But here's a crucial lesson. Your sense of self-worth is determined by when someone ignores you. It's not because of what they do or don't do. Rather, it's the ideal chance to reaffirm these limits. It's like telling yourself, I don't permit. When you establish these limits, you use someone else's actions to dictate my value. You're erecting a barrier to protect your feelings. Consider it a filter that determines what can and cannot impact you. This isn't about getting aloof or cold. Rather, it's about understanding how much you let other people's behavior affect you. Emotional maturity is shown when you feel in control and understand the importance of setting firm boundaries, is a practical illustration of how to provide oneself a sturdy foundation regardless of what's going on around you. In your interpersonal or professional connections, when someone begins acting in a manner that goes against those bounds, you may either openly express your position or softly separate yourself. Saying no when it's required is a sign of self-respect and self-compassion. You want, and throughout the week, practice saying no to little things, such as assignments that overwhelm you or provide favors that you truly don't have time for. This will assist you in developing these boundaries. Are also necessary to prevent relationship exploitation on an emotional level, or when you are clear about what you will and won't tolerate. Friendships begin too. Respecting your boundaries is freeing because it gives you control over your life, rather than letting other people dictate how you behave. How such behaviors affect you, and trust me, this not only enhances your connections, but it also improves your self-perception, and more intriguingly, by fortifying your bounds, you show them that you are resilient and self-sufficient. People around you begin to notice that you're not easily swayed. This is power, yet it's a calm, steady power that evokes awe and reverence without. In other words, have you ever questioned how much other people's behavior affects you? Have you considered which emotional boundaries you should strengthen in your life? If so, please let me know. The comments: I would like to know how you intend to use this to shift the emphasis to oneself, following the process of reaffirming your emotional boundaries, is to refocus all attention on yourself. Often, we spend a great deal of energy focusing on the actions of others, rather of examining ourselves to determine how we might better when someone ignores you, rather than becoming overwhelmed by thoughts concerning that person's actions. Use this chance to invest in yourself. About the potential for both professional and personal growth in the time that would otherwise be lost, just think of how much, if you transformed every moment of doubt into an opportunity for personal development, for instance, rather than wondering why they haven't replied. Why don't you concentrate on your own objectives? Is there something you've always desired to accomplish but haven't had time to pick up a new talent? So why not? Enroll in an online school, devote time to a passion of yours, or even this change in focus while physical activity increases your sense of self-worth and small. Gradually, you come to understand that other people's perceptions do not define who you are. Instead, focusing on yourself does. Not just about honing your abilities, but also about making time for your mental and emotional health. To read a book that motivates you, do yoga or meditate, you can make a tremendous impact when you naturally invest in your self-confidence. Rises as you develop and grow into a greater version of yourself. And the best part is that nobody can take it away from you. Knowing that this change in focus makes you a more engaging person while you're busy is crucial. You're organically changing, so people notice that you're not enmeshed in dramas or dwelling on the actions of others. You're building a life that inspires and encourages you, and that is extraordinarily attractive. The more you concentrate on yourself, the less other people's behavior appears to matter, and the more tranquil you feel, the more you'll be able to shift your attention to being oneself. Is also a fantastic method to develop emotional independence rather than worrying. You invest in your own happiness and sense of personal fulfillment, regardless of what other people say or do. Success and witnessing the advancement of your goals and aspirations are more valuable than over time. You'll observe that the energy you once expended worrying about other people is now being utilized to construct something. Tell me which aspect of your life you feel is most important. Desire to start concentrating more going forward? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. I'm interested in knowing what your objectives are and how you'll make an investment in yourself and cultivate an attitude of wealth. Is a game changer in life, rather to holding on to the notion that your happiness comes solely from something or someone. You begin to perceive the world as a place full of connections and chances just waiting to. When someone ignores social media or withdraws, their natural response could be attachment or frustration. But with this fresh perspective, you understand that one individual or circumstance does not determine your value. There are numerous other options that can favorably impact your life. This approach radically alters your perspective on relationships and chances. Rather than believing I've lost something, you start to believe I still have a lot to gain, such as when someone decides to stop being in your life. Create space for newcomers. Have you considered the number of incredible people you have yet to meet? Unforgettable moments that you must continue to live with this perspective that the world is being surrounded by opportunities, increases your resilience and decreases your reliance on one's circumstances. Making a list of all the positive aspects of your life is a useful activity to cultivate this mindset. Cultivate this mindset, life, and then make a list of the things you still want to accomplish after realizing how abundant everything is already around you. It's simpler to think there's more to come. Perhaps you have wonderful pals or a career you like or a talent you're honing. All of this is a component of your abundance. Just think of all the amazing things that could be added to it. Additionally, by adopting this perspective, you avoid clinging to a single person or circumstance that you are familiar with. When something doesn't work out, that depressing emotion just goes away when you adopt an abundant perspective. Seeing that if one door closes, another will undoubtedly open brings an unwavering inner tranquility that changes the way you live. When you let go of emotional freedom blooms, when one feels the urge to control how everything turns out. And trust me when I say that this shift in perspective not only makes you stronger, but also more appealing to others who live with you. They are more confident, have a different vibe, and have an abundant mindset. Hold on to drama or shortage, which makes them far more engaging to be around. By cultivating this attitude, you start a positive feedback loop where the more you observe the more opportunities you have around you, the more others are drawn to your energy. Begin to consider how many opportunities you could still find by embracing this abundance. Attitude. Do share in the comments below. I'm interested to know how you perceive the limitless potential applications of reverse psychology that have not yet been explored. An intriguing method to alter the dynamics of any relationship, particularly when someone chooses to ignore you rather than approach you or ask for clarification. You do the exact opposite and turn away from the other person as frequently as they anticipate you to pursue them, but when they realize that's not taking place, curiosity and doubt begins to seep in, and they discover that they are considering you more. This shift in perspective is potent, since it demonstrates that you don't need approval from others to feel good. This isn't about manipulating or... The purpose of mind games is to demonstrate that your emotional health is not dependent on... When you turn away from someone else's behavior, you're essentially expressing that you respect yourself enough to avoid becoming exhausted by other people's actions. For a real-world example, go to the movies rather than messaging or waiting for a response. Start a project you've always desired on your own and demonstrate by your behavior that you're okay with it or not. The appeal of reverse psychology is that by putting an end to the pursuit, you shift your attention back to yourself. And do you know what the other person's natural reaction is? Begins to question why they aren't searching for me anymore and what's going on. From here, role reversal enables you to take back control of the circumstance. You're taking charge of your own story instead of responding to other people's actions. which is a sophisticated and confident method of demonstrating emotional self-control. You might be thinking, but what if the person doesn't even glance at you? Here's a significant lesson for me once more. If something occurs, it could be because they weren't as significant as you thought, and trust me, along this process, you'll acknowledge that it's liberating to be free of the emotional pressure and that you're better off without it. In this situation, reverse psychology enables you to determine who genuinely values your presence and who was merely trying to patience, and this change in mindset also boosts your confidence. Your self-esteem rises when you understand that you can live a fulfilling life without seeking approval from others. You begin attracting more wholesome partnerships founded on respect rather than pursuing. This is the real benefit when you're pursuing someone who doesn't appreciate what you have to offer. When reverse psychology is used, the emphasis shifts back to you and those around you. Begin to observe it. So why not begin using this tactic in your life rather than looking for solutions? Take a break, observe what occurs, and let me know in the comments how reversing this dynamic allows you to reassess the person's true. Sometimes we need to take a more detached view of the issue and reevaluate whether someone is truly interested in us. We may not like to acknowledge it, but it's possible that the person is avoiding or separating from us. This has nothing to do with wounded pride, but the other person is just not as interested as you are. About having enough self-worth to not waste your time on someone who won't put money into you when you're continuously attempting to attract attention, it might be time to consider whether it's normal to establish expectations for a relationship that is worth the effort. But the practice of Stoicism allows us to view reality without delusions. By confronting truth, you can save time and frustration in a variety of contexts, including friendships, the workplace. Have you ever been in a love relationship and realized that you're working too hard to keep it going? Discussion or interaction with someone, it might be time to reconsider how much they actually care about you. It's a warning that expectations need to be adjusted when someone doesn't show the same level of enthusiasm, but it doesn't indicate you're not a fascinating or worthwhile individual, but rather that perhaps this individual isn't in line with your offerings. Consider it by letting go of this energy. You make room for relationships with individuals who genuinely value your existence. Re-evaluating is a means of liberating, refraining from having irrational expectations, and concentrating on those who genuinely wish to. During this procedure, it's a good idea to compile an honest list of the indications this individual has displayed. How frequently did they actually express interest? Being there or available can give you a better understanding of the circumstances. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our expectations that we fail to notice the warning flags that are there in front of us. With this re-evaluation, you can stop investing in something that won't emotionally advance your goals. But it's not about giving up easily, rather it's about realizing your value. When you realize how valuable your energy is, you begin to surround yourself with people who appreciate it and the sensation. It is far more satisfying to be surrounded by individuals who truly care about you than to try to coerce relationships with people who don't exhibit the same traits, which ultimately only strengthens your self-assurance and mental health. So why not conduct an examination now? If you know of someone in your life who may not be genuinely interested in you, please leave a remark below. Been in this circumstance and how you handled it. Remaining composed. One of the best ways to show emotional strength is to remain composed in the face of uncertainty. Anxiety frequently takes over when someone ignores you, and you feel the must respond fast, but real strength comes from resisting impulses. The virtue of controlled surrender is underappreciated, yet those who can maintain their composure, they are definitely the ones that control their emotions during stressful situations. Have you considered how this might alter how other people perceive you? But remaining composed doesn't imply that you don't care. Rather, it shows that you value yourself enough to imagine yourself in a hostile situation and allow other people's actions to dictate your peace. Circumstance where the other person is anticipating a response, you decide to take a deep breath and remain silent. In addition to demonstrating self-control, this instantly conveys the message that you won't allow your emotions, or over time, this attitude earns the respect of others around you. Arguments are a better illustration of how this can be used in real-world situations. Or arguments, you are aware when someone tries to provoke you in the hopes that you would react, yet you answer coolly and maintaining composure while totally disarming the circumstance. The dynamic changes immediately. This is something that may be taught beginning with more manageable situations, such as handling a delay or a little annoyance. This balanced attitude becomes more natural the more you practice. This serenity also serves as a kind of emotional defense when you don't allow. When other people's actions disrupt your tranquility, you grow stronger, and the more you exercise this serenity, you'll notice that many things that used to aggravate you now seem irrelevant in. Essentially, maintaining composure is a statement that I am in charge of my life, regardless of what occurs around me, which gives me an inner strength that few things can provide. In addition, tranquility is something respectable and appealing. Who wouldn't want to spend time with someone who can remain composed even in the people like that, under the most difficult circumstances, inspire confidence, and convey the idea that the truth is, they have everything under control. When can you keep this up? You truly do have control, at least over your self-serenity, which is, tell me what really matters now. Have you ever attempted to maintain composure during a moment of provocation, or when someone disregarded you? Please share your experience in the comments section below. Understand how to respond to these circumstances and transform quiet into self-discovery. Quiet is frequently unsettling, particularly when it results from the loss of a loved one. Anticipated to hear from, but what if you use that quiet as a chance for personal growth rather than fretting over the absence of answers or attention when someone withdraws? Take advantage of this opportunity to re-establish a connection with yourself. Be the ideal opportunity for you to examine yourself, consider your beliefs, priorities, and what you really want in a relationship or friendship. Stoicism emphasizes that the secret to emotional stability is self-awareness. Spending time by yourself, free from outside influences and distractions, gives you freedom. Start by asking yourself what you truly desire in order to better understand yourself. Makes me happy because there are moments when we are so preoccupied with pleasing other people that we neglect to use the quiet time to consider your own aspirations and goals, as well as the activities you enjoy. This boosts your self-esteem and equips you to make choices that are more consistent with who you are, a real-world illustration. Consider that you are waiting for a message that never arrives. Rather than questioning why, spend that time recording your thoughts in a journal. Organizing your thoughts is an excellent method to learn more about yourself that you might not have even realized, and you can use this time to picking up a new skill, taking an online course, or even putting yourself through a challenge you've always wanted to perform, such as meditation or taking a stroll outside. Your ability to transform stillness into self-awareness also aids in your development, as gaining a deeper awareness of oneself makes you emotionally more autonomous and less reliant on the opinions of others, or attitudes that help you become a more complete and confident person and empower you emotionally. Your enjoyment starts to take precedence over behavior as you begin to establish a strong foundation of self-assurance, self-discipline, and the self-awareness that results from this quiet may provide a great deal of insight into your relationships. If you take the time to, knowing oneself makes it simpler to determine who genuinely shares your values and who doesn't. Making more thoughtful and healthful decisions for your emotional and personal life through a process that may start with quiet. Silence ultimately serves as a tool for progress rather than a source of anxiety. So how about using these quiet times to learn more about you should try this yourself? Tell us in the comments below how you've been using these times to grow and what you've learned about yourself, letting go of the result. One of the most emancipating emotional activities you can accomplish is to let go of the outcome of a circumstance, whether in a romantic partnership or any other aspect of your life, that you are free to removing yourself from expectations, which are frequently the source of annoyances. This implies that regardless of the outcome, whether the opportunity presents itself or not, the individual returns to you. You realize that your happiness isn't dependent on a single person, therefore your confidence and tranquility stay intact. Response or a single individual, this distance does not imply that you are unconcerned, but that, as a concrete example, you don't let the outcome dictate your life. Consider a job interview where, despite your best efforts, the ultimate answer is no longer in your hands. If you're successful, fantastic. If not, you go on with the understanding that relationships and other chances will present themselves if someone pulls. It doesn't make sense to be stuck on what may have been letting go after you've given it your all. You accomplished what you could, and the rest is no longer your responsibility. Letting go creates a sense of freedom that few people can experience, which is where true magic occurs. Stoicism teaches just this. The more you cling to the result, the lighter you get. Try your hardest and accept the things that are beyond your control. What's remarkable is that things frequently start to happen when you stop expecting something from someone or a circumstance. When things flow freely, the pressure of expectations is lifted and everything appears easier, and letting go of the result avoids emotional fatigue. Consider what it would be like to manage every circumstance without. When you let go of grievances, the weight of worry or the fear of not obtaining what you desire decreases because it feels like you're letting go of the need for a particular outcome. Relief, as like something that had been preventing you from moving forward, is finally being released, and at that point you understand the potential benefits of this practice for your mental well-being. It also enables you to. By focusing less on what might or might not occur, you can live more in the moment. You start to recognize how precious the present moment is. Because the only thing we can really control is letting go of the present. The result is a means of being more aware of life and appreciating what is happening. Instead of fretting about the future now, you'll eventually see that this allows you to access something that previously seemed inaccessible. So how about using detachment in a situation that's concerning you right now? Have you considered how this can make you feel lighter and more at ease? Please share your thoughts on this concept of letting go of expectations in the comments section, because living in the now helps you develop inner confidence. True confidence is anything that originates internally rather than from the opinions or treatment of others. When you establish strong internal confidence based on your own accomplishments and your perception of other people's behavior, such as whether they ignore you or not, reacting totally loses its ability to influence you. This is the basis of emotional independence, or the capacity to maintain composure in the face of situations. Have you ever considered what it might be like to live without relying on approval from others to feel good about yourself? Small, realistic steps are the first step in developing this inner confidence. Writing down all of your daily successes, no matter how minor, is an exercise that will help you reach your objectives. Every obstacle you conquer demonstrates your ability, once you begin to perceive the importance of your own deeds, your self-esteem automatically increases, and you start to consider yourself a successful someone who is valuable for who they are and what they do, not for what other people may think. Has a significant impact on how you view yourself. Another crucial tip is to quit evaluating yourself against other people. Your confidence is only weakened by continual comparison, since it places you in a position of inferiority. Keep in mind that everyone has an own journey and rhythm. By concentrating on your personal growth and identity, you establish a strong sense of self-assurance that is independent of other influences. It's similar to building an emotional fortress that is impenetrable from the outside. While working on one of the best methods to increase your inner confidence is to engage in your personal development and develop your skills. It's picking up new knowledge, developing in a field of interest, or getting better. Maintaining your physical and mental well-being helps you become a stronger person on the inside. When you know you're giving it your all in every aspect of your life, it shows in the way you portray yourself. You feel good about yourself, oneself to the outside world. And the question is, when you have this inner confidence, how do other people behave? If someone ignores you, it doesn't impact your self-esteem because you know exactly who they are. Have you ever considered how your life would change if you had more confidence in who you are and what you're capable of? Only from within, if you could confront any circumstance with the knowledge that you will always be resolute and self-assured. So how about beginning to develop this inner self-assurance? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below on how you intend to boost your self-esteem and concentrate on what truly about your own worth. Reassess your expectations and frequently become frustrated in relationships are based on unfulfilled expectations of how other people should behave. A particular manner, and when they don't, we're let down. But the reality is that we frequently establish irrational standards for appropriate behavior and timing. They fall short of these standards. The issue is not with individuals, but rather with what we. Reassessing these assumptions is a crucial first step in. Have you ever tried to find calm when you don't have control? Have you ever paused to consider whether you're expecting more from someone than they are able or willing to provide? Although first unsettling, expectations are also very liberating. If someone doesn't respond to you, it could be time to change your expectations. People, rather than hoping they'll react in a particular manner, but keep in mind that not everyone will perform in the manner you anticipate. About being realistic and bringing your vision into line with reality rather than accepting less. The task is to make a list of your expectations for a friendship or connection, and then, by doing this, you can determine whether these expectations are reasonable or the result of delusions. You can easily see where you're becoming frustrated over things that the other person may not have recommended or promised. Does not imply abandoning aspirations that only bring about suffering, but rather standards. Relationships become lighter when this strain is released. Another advantage of reassessing your expectations is you can change your attitude and become less reliant on other people's approval. Instead of waiting on other people to fulfill you or make you happy, you begin to see. Considering what you already have and what you can provide for yourself, you develop a strong sense of emotional independence. That changes your relationship and self-perception in the world, and ultimately, when you change your expectations, this reassessment provides you peace. More practical and in line with the types of relationship annoyances significantly reduce. Consider what it would be like to live without the ongoing stress of anticipating that others will do something for you. So why not begin by considering your expectations today, how they might be impacting you, and how you intend to rethink your relationship expectations and take a logical approach. Viewpoint. When someone ignores you, It's simple to allow feelings to control you and construct unpleasant mental images that distance or quiet can produce. Worry, annoyance, and frequently rejection, but Stoicism teaches us the best course of action in difficult situations is to seek reason rather than respond emotionally by using reason. Is this individual truly that important to my happiness that their actions should influence me? But if you take a moment to consider more clearly, you'll see that when circumstances like this occur, our responses are heightened. Because our brains have a tendency to magnify emotional effect, particularly when of confusion. But by coolly assessing the circumstances, you might start to ask yourself why I'm giving someone's behavior such influence over my emotional state. By doing this, you begin to lessen the emotional reaction. Taking a logical stance also entails assessing the situation holistically. Perhaps the individual who disregarded you is dealing with a personal issue that is unrelated to you. Is it possible that you're fabricating a story that doesn't need to be told? We frequently have a predisposition to imitate the actions of others. Personally, even though their actions might not be connected to us, strive to keep in mind this is a useful activity to do before drawing conclusions. Ask yourself, if I were a buddy in your shoes, what guidance would I offer when we examine the externally? We typically have a clearer view of the situation, which enables us to make more thoughtful choices and refrain from letting feelings drive you impulsively by. By taking a more logical stance, you also begin to feel less vulnerable and more in charge of your own responses. What you should keep in mind when dealing with relationship ups and downs is that by maintaining composure and using logical analysis gives you control over when you determine that you won't let an outside behavior to influence you, respond to it. Your inner tranquility by consciously choosing to maintain it, which eventually makes you more resilient and equipped to handle any emotional obstacle. So tell me, have you ever attempted to take a more logical approach to an emotional situation? If so, how did that alter your reaction? Leave a comment below to share how you deal with these circumstances and express thanks for what. When we're disregarded or dismissed, it's normal to concentrate on what we lack or didn't get. But in actuality, this focus only increases the sense of inadequacy and annoyance. Stoicism imparts a lot more great method of cultivating thankfulness rather than concentrating on what isn't happening. Begin thinking about all that you already have and the individuals who already appreciate you. A mental change can drastically alter how you respond to rejection. Or have you ever considered the abundance of positive things in your life that you might not be aware of? Be a family member who is always there for you, a close friend, or even a personal accomplishments that aid in your development once you begin to concentrate on these gifts. When one particular individual stops paying attention, it seems to lose the weight it previously had. Being grateful isn't always a good thing. Emotion is a daily exercise that transforms your perspective on the world and provides a continuous feeling of completeness. Being grateful is easy, yet incredibly effective. A useful exercise is to list 3 things for which you are thankful at the beginning or end of each day. Anything minor, like sharing a joke with a buddy, or something significant, like a career accomplishment. By concentrating on what is already good, it doesn't matter if someone else doesn't respond or pay attention. Reduces mental space and aids in brain rewiring to perceive there is enough all around you, and being thankful improves your relationships. You connect even more when you begin to value the people in your life, rather than concentrating on the ones who are not there. By concentrating on these healthy individuals, who are the ones that really count? Relationships. You build a network of emotional support that makes it easier for you to handle rejection or difficult circumstances. Just by finally focusing your energies on the proper people and things, life becomes richer and lighter. Gratitude practice helps. You view obstacles differently rather than viewing what's lacking as a reflection of who you are. Begin to view the individual ignoring you as a chance for personal development. Really be doing you a favor by demonstrating to you that you are worthy of the respect and attention of others who genuinely want to be. This shift of perspective by your side not only inspires you to keep going, but additionally, it helps you appreciate what's in front of you. Tell me, what do you already have in your life for which you are thankful? Please share your values in the comments section below. You can cultivate emotional independence in your daily life by, when you're emotionally dependent on someone, one of the most crucial pillars for leading a complete and balanced life. Otherwise, their behaviors and reactions take precedence over your feelings. If someone ignores you, the effect is far more severe than it ought to be because you're counting on them to supply what you should look for in yourself: emotional support, comfort, and validation. Gaining emotional independence is liberating because it enables you to keep your tranquility despite the events surrounding you. This procedure of the first step toward emotional independence is realizing that you are the only one who can make you happy. Sound like a no-brainer, but many of us live our entire lives believing that we require someone to fulfill us or provide us joy. But the less dependent you are, the more you understand yourself and establish a strong emotional base. You become what other people do. Have you ever considered how wonderful it would be to not be so disturbed by someone's lack of response or attention? One useful way to cultivate this independence is to concentrate on invest in hobbies that promote your well-being and sense of self-worth without requiring approval from others. Personal endeavors, or anything that makes you happy when you create a rich and satisfying life for yourself. Your emotions are increasingly less affected by other people's behavior. It's like building an inner stronghold where only you have the another crucial element in maintaining your pleasure is learning to control your expectations of other people when you want them to fulfill all of your emotional needs. You're granting them authority that ought to be stopped instead of reflect, take care of yourself, and practice self-care and self-support. Yourself, and make certain that your emotional needs are satisfied on your own, which makes you a more self-sufficient and balanced individual. Gaining emotional independence does not imply avoiding ties or withdrawing from others. On the contrary, you can participate in healthy relationships where the link isn't founded on lack, but rather on reciprocity. Respect for one another and emotional independence are more appealing since they exude self-assurance and equilibrium, and they understand that they can be content on their own, which ironically makes people much more interested in them. So how about beginning to practice this emotional? Have you attempted to become more independent and less reliant on the actions of others? Below, I'd like to know how you plan to begin your road toward living an emotionally balanced life after learning this. The secret is to put this knowledge into practice. It's not simply about handling situations where someone ignores you with a particular someone, but changing your emotional life in such a way that you'll never consider each of these lessons as a tool and rely on outside validation once more. To assist you in developing unwavering confidence, what's preventing you from beginning to change now? It's time to move forward and begin putting everything you've learned into practice. Learn today. Are you prepared to take charge of your life and stop responding to other people? If so, please let me know which of these actions. Please leave a comment below and let me know how you intend to turn this circumstance into a chance for development. And don't forget to activate your channel subscription. Alerts to continue learning how to improve your emotional and mental health together will move this forward. Journey of confidence and self-awareness.